All right, everybody. Welcome to the stream. This is episode 7 of building a second brain application using SwiftUI. Welcome to the stream. And I should mute myself. Building a second brain using SwiftUI, Swift, Firebase, and Gemini, and whatever else we need to build it. So for this stream, I want to look into using Firebase authentication because, let's be honest, if we save everything into the database and then the database contains all of the links of all of the users, that's probably not such a great idea because people might be storing stuff that is very personal into this knowledge base. So we need to be able to separate this and make sure that everything that I save is my data and everything that you save is your data, and I can't see your data and you can't see my data. So that's what we're going to look at today. And once this is in place, we can add more AI features. Cool. So if you are on the stream, please say hi, say where you're dialing in from. I always love to see all the places that people join from, and also, let's be honest, I'm curious about what's the best time to run this show. So I don't know, if you feel like, oh yeah, I can barely make this time, it would be better if we did it earlier or later in the day, feel free to let me know. And if you're watching the recording, obviously you can't type into the live chat, but you can still leave a comment. So please leave a comment under this video to tell me what would be a good time. And please remember, I'm in Germany, so my time zone is Central European time. So I don't know if you tell me 10 o'clock would be a good time, I don't know where you live. So you need to tell me 10 o'clock where, which time zone, so that I can do the maths and figure out what time it would be in my time zone. All right, so, and then one other thing I'd like to do is I'd like to understand if you typically watch this live. So as a question that will be very skewed because only the people who are live now will be able to answer it. I mean, some people might say, well, I'm watching this offline usually, but today I'm here to watch the live stream, but we'll see. So the poll should be live now. I can see it. So if you are live, please go ahead and tell me if you're watching this live or if you watch this later, if you watch the recording. All right, cool. All right, 8:15 would be better. I wonder why that is. Do you want to watch the news before you watch the live stream, Lars? I mean, why not? I like that idea. Cool. So also in the tradition of looking at what we did last time, let's go ahead and actually let me bring on the live chat. Handover time, yes, absolutely. So let's switch over to the screen and let's see what we did last time and what people said last time. So let me grab this window. Okay, so Maurice had a question and he said, I'm wondering, why do you have to pass the summarizer service in such a way through multiple components? Isn't that the good thing about environment, that the environment takes care of that through the hierarchy? Or does the navigation destination, create some kind of problem such that this doesn't get passed in the hierarchy tree? Thanks in advance. Keep up the great content. Thanks for the kind words. And I looked into this, and let's go and look at the code. And oh yeah, so you might remember if you watched last time, I think it was
Let's see if there's
somewhere around that, somewhere around here. Yeah, so we can see this is an error message, and I think this is about the preview not being able to see the summarizer service, and then we figure out, oh, it's not being passed through. So the problem is that it's very subtle. So one thing to keep in mind with the environment is that the environment is like this tree that gets passed down through the hierarchy. Or I don't know. Well, it's not a tree. It's probably, it's best to be to think of the environment as some sort of a dictionary, probably, and you've got the keys in there and then the values, and you can put stuff into the environment and retrieve it later on. The tree, though, is the view hierarchy. And in the typical application, you might have multiple branches in your view hierarchy. And whenever you open a sheet, for example, in your application, that opens a new branch in your view hierarchy. And as far as I can tell, if you open a new sheet, then this will essentially establish a new copy of the environment. And if you want to pass stuff into that sheet, you have to do that manually. But this is not that kind of problem. So maybe if you look at this code here, you can see it. It's, as I said, it's very subtle. And this code looks very correct, but the problem here is that all of those environment values only get applied on the artifact list screen. And that means that whenever we are in one of the child views, for example, here in the list view, we get access to the environment, so we can pull it here. But then when we go into the navigation destination, and if we are in the artifact viewer, for example, we won't be able to pull it here if we don't pass it over here. So let me show this. So I'm deliberately not passing it down here. And now if I run this application and go into the artifact viewer screen, there should be a crash. Okay, so let me get the simulator. Okay. Is that the correct simulator? No, it's not. Let's see. I think I have another one. All right, let's run this again. Okay. So I think the latency on this stream is a lot lower. Because I said I want to have faster or lower latency. So if you chat me, then you should be able to, and I should be able to see your message much earlier. Okay, so here we are, and now if I go into that screen, we have the crash, right? And that is because I'm not passing this environment value. So let's go and fix this. And the fix really is to take these environment values and move them down so that they're applied to the navigation stack. And the navigation stack can then inject them to all its children. So let's run this again. And now this should be fine, right? And actually, let's go and also remove this line, which should also be fine. So this passes down the artifact store. So that is what we need if we, for example, type in a comment here, hello, and then when I save that, yeah, so it did work, no crash, so it should be fine. Let's go back and back in again, and then I should be able to see my message here. Great, so that works. So, and with that, oops, let's go and see how we can implement an authentication screen. So, let's maybe first go into the Firebase console, because we'll have to do two things. One is we need to implement a couple of screens for our application. So we need to have a sign up screen, we have to have a sign in screen, we need to have a dialog where users can sign out again, and we need to have some sort of service that communicates with the backend in order to sign the user in and out and keep track of the authentication state. And then we'll also have to work on our store, on the artifact store. So let's go back here. So in our model, we have the artifact store. And somewhere down here, you can see that we have this snapshot listener. And this snapshot listener currently just retrieves everything that's in the collection. And that's everyone's data. Currently, it's just my data because I'm the only person who has access to the project. But once this application ships, everybody has access to the collection. And we need to make sure that this application only displays data that is owned by the specific user. So we'll have to implement a query to make sure that we only fetch the signed in user's data. So that is what we need to implement. But first of all, let me go and activate Firebase authentication. So I'm here in my project, and this is the live project. I haven't activated authentication yet. So let's do that real quick. And once I've done that, I can choose all the authentication providers that we want to use in this application. We'll start with email and password authentication. So I'll just enable that, click Save. And that's really it. So I can now go in and I could add a user manually. So for example, test@test.com, and then I could define a password here, like that. And I could add users manually, but actually we're going to do that in our application. Okay, so that's everything we need to do in the Firebase console for now. So let me go back into my application, and then we'll just start implementing an authentication screen and then take it from there. So this is a little bit of work. So let's get started. We need a new SwiftUI view. And this is going to be called authentication screen.swift. All right, here we go. So let's see. So this is a bunch of code that we need to go through. I'm just trying to think where we need to start. So let's get the preview going. So we need, let's start with the sign up screen, or let's start with the sign in screen. So if we run out of time, then we can create an account manually and then sign in using the sign in screen. So while this is loading, let's start, and I'm going to embed this in a VStack because I want to have stuff in this kind of orientation. So first of all, I want to have a welcome to Sophia. Well, AI is so amazing, isn't it? And then we want to have a large title and probably font weight bold. like this. And then this should be good for now. And then we need to have a field for text input. So probably a text field is a good idea. Text field. And we need a title and a text. So this is going to be the email, and we need a state here. So we're going to use the same technique as before. So in the struct, we will keep our state, and on the extension, we will just have the body. So I'm going to add a state here. State var email is a string, and while we're at it, we'll have a password, and then we can just say $email like that. I really wonder. Okay. Yeah, let's keep them empty like that. Okay. For folks who've joined the stream just now, we're implementing an authentication screen, as the name says, for the Second Brain app. While you're watching, why don't you say hello? And what's your name and where you're dialing in from? So, you know what? I am going to kill the simulator. And then let's see if this speeds things up. Because I'd really like to see a preview. All right. Maybe this is Xcode trying to tell me I need a faster machine. Anyways, so let's continue and have our second text field, and we probably also need to have a button. Somewhere. Yeah. All right, come on. No idea why it's so slow. If this is not going to get better, we'll just have this, we'll have to run this manually on a simulator, which really feels wrong, because I think this really should run here. I don't know. Oh, there we go. Okay, nice. Great. So, all right, so let's see how we can make this look a little nicer. So I want to embed this in, hello, in HStack. And then we'll have an image, and yeah, I think that, no, like this. So add, that's what I want. And then for a text field, embed in HStack, I want a lock icon like this. Right. And then let's see what else. Okay, so this should have a padding. Vertical. Like that. And another padding for bottom, probably, to keep a distance. And we can probably use 4, like that. And then we'll do the same for the other one here. But we want to have more padding here. Okay. And then we'll put a divider into the background. So content. Like this. And then the alignment will be bottom. Okay. Why? Argument alignment must precede. Okay. Oh, wait. Maybe like this. Okay, great. So that is what I wanted. Okay. All right, so this is starting to look like a form. And then we should probably have another padding for horizontal, and then, yeah, like this. Okay, cool. And then another thing that many people forget is to turn off the auto capitalization. So that is, that is why when I started to enter my email address, it auto capitalized the P. So that is not what we want. So auto text input auto capitalization, and we want never. Okay, like this. Cool. And then, yeah, login. That is what we want. And let's see what kind of styling I had in mind. Yeah, I think this is fine for now, but we can try button style dot border prominent to turn this into this kind of button. And then make it real wide. So frame, and we'll set the max width to infinity. No? No? I think this should work. Interesting. Well, okay, let's keep, maybe, let's see, maybe it's because we're using this, yeah, no, I have no idea. So maybe we could use this one. And then place it here, and then have texts. How's that? There is a syntax error. Yes. It's the same. Well, we'll fix this later. Okay, and then here we want to invoke the action, and that will be log in, and we're going to put this here. Log in with email password And then we'll just call this here. Okay. You're logging in as email. Okay, let's see. Previews. Hello. No idea why I can't type into this field. That is really weird. Oh, it's because it's refreshing the preview. Okay. No. I mean, I am in the correct window, am I? Okay, let's reboot this. Okay, here we go. Okay, so, and then when I tap here, yeah, you're logging in. Okay, perfect. So that is a bare bones login screen, and we'll keep it at that for now. And now let's actually implement the login process. So one thing that we can do it straight here in the view, but that is probably not the best idea because we will have to refer to the login state in other places as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new class here, and it's not going to be the authentication service. That's what it is. And so this is going to communicate with Firebase for us. So let's go here, and then so the funny thing is that we don't link to the documentation from here, right? We don't. Nope. Okay. So, but what we can do is let's see if, oh, look here. Here's the help developer docs. There you go. Okay. So build authentication. And then for iOS, we want to implement password authentication. So it walks us through what we need to do in order to add the Firebase SDK. We already did that. And here are all the imports. Here is the configuration call. And here is how to create a user, but we want to sign in. So let's see. So auth.signin with email and password. So it's pretty straightforward. So let's go here, and then I need a function login with email and password. No, we're not yet logged in. And then we need to import Firebase Auth. Okay, so here's Firebase Auth, but it says missing required modules, Firebase Auth internal, GTM fetcher core, and a bunch of others. And that is probably because we haven't added the dependency for the framework here. So let's do that. Firebase Auth. And now we can go back, and then this should compile. Oh yeah, Lars, good suggestion. Secure field for the password. That good call. I should do that, totally. And hey, Jeremy from Chicago. Great, welcome to the stream. So let's see what's going on here. Is this still not compiling? It is. Okay. But let's do what Lars suggests and use a secure field. It's secure text field. Oh, it's secure field like that. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Right. So we were able to import Firebase Auth, and now we can do auth.sign-in with email password. I really like that you can just like type in the fragments of the method you're looking for. So this is one of the pieces of Xcode that I really like. So, and now we need an email and we need a password, and we don't have that on our service. So let's add a parameter here. Email is a string and password is a string as well. Here we have the email, here we have the password. Okay, so we now have two options. So if we go back to the documentation, you will see that this uses a closure. So this closure here basically will be called whenever the call returns. So this is an asynchronous call, right? So the user types in the username and password. We call sign in with email and password, and then the request is being sent to the server. The server needs to verify, do we have the user? Is the password the correct one? And so on and so forth. And then it comes back. Usually that's pretty quick, but you know, for a computer, that's still a long time. It's an asynchronous operation. So it will return after a short moment. And that means we need to wait for it, but we don't want to block. And that is why we use the closure here. The closure gets called back when the result arrives, and then we can do something inside the closure. So that is one way to do it. Or we can use async await to do it. So I'm going to, so we'll use async await because that's the modern way to do it. So await, sign in, and now it says, well, you know, you don't support concurrency in this method. So let's do it like this. All right, call can throw, try await, and we'll probably want to wrap this in a try catch block. Although, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe we should pass on the exception and then make the view decide what it wants to do. Let's see. Yeah, let's do that for now. And then let's see how we like it. Okay, cool. And now we can, so we need a reference to our authentication service. So what I'm going to do is I'll make this a private constructor and then static let shared. So basically a singleton. Singletons probably are not such a great idea overall, but for now this is an easy way to do this and keep the state shared. So we'll roll with this for now, and then we'll see. We'll have a look at all the issues that this might cause later on. So one way to do this is to just say var authentication service is an authentication service. And the reason why I'm not pulling this here, but later on, is that I want to have more control over how it's instantiated. Or let's try it. Yeah, let's try it this way and see what happens. Okay, so type into the chat what you think might be the problem if we're doing it this way. Okay, now authentication service dot login with email and password. We're passing in the email from our state and the password as well. And then of course, this is now async and we'll need to, oh, and you guys can't see what's happening on the chat. So let me just type something and then it should show up here. Okay. Ding. All right. So, yeah. So we have to call this using await. So await authentication service dot login with email and password. And this is not async. So what we'll do is we'll run this in a task like this. And now we need to wrap this inside the try catch block. And here we'll just print the error. Try await. Okay. Cool. So let's see if this already works in the preview. Here we go. So we don't have a user account yet, so we should get and okay. Can I type? No. So since we don't have a user account yet, when I try to type in or try to sign into a user account, there should be an error message. Okay, so here we go. test@test.com. And the password can be anything, 1, 2, 3, 4. Log in. Okay, so you're logging in at test@test.com. Fire auth domain, the supplied auth credential is malformed or has expired. The supplied auth credential, yeah, so there is an error. Let's try and just create a new user account. So we don't have any user accounts at the moment. So I'm just going to add one, test 1, 2, 3. No, that's the password. Test@test.com, test 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to be the password. Add this user and then try this again. Tests 1, 2, 3, 4, log in. You're logging in as test@test.com. So this was successful. So that is one thing. And now we probably need to hook this up. And also, we need to track the login state, right? So we want to know, is the user logged in or is the user not logged in? Because there needs to be a state in our UI so that we can tell the user, hey, nobody's logged in, you need to log in. Or if they are logged in, we need to be able to show them that they're logged in. Let's go to the artifact list screen because I think that is a good place where we'll want to display some sort of UI. So this is the root view of the application, basically. It shows all of the artifacts and we could place a view in there. And now we're having a problem here. So artifact Firebase store is not found. Okay. What? Oh, because it's a memory store. Okay. Yeah, we'll ignore this for now. No, we can't ignore this because we want to see the button. Okay, so artifact Firebase Store. Okay, let's see. Is it happy now? Nope. What's going on? Oh, we don't have a summarizer service. Yeah, let's put a summarizer service. And there is probably a little bit more. So what else? And the metadata service. Okay, let's just do this. And then put all of them. All right, here we go. So I want to put a button up here for the logins dialog. Okay, so we need the toolbar, and this is for the bottom bar. So we can add a new toolbar item here. Toolbar item placement is going to be top bar trailing, and I want to put a button, and the button is it's going to have an action, and we're going to display an image, and it's going to be user. Yeah, we're going to use person circle. Good point, Lars. Yeah, so you paid attention. It's probably not as bad because, yeah, now there's a compile error. It's probably not as bad because we're not really navigating very deeply at the moment, but yeah, it's a good point. We should do that. Thanks for keeping me honest here. Okay, so here's the button. And so yeah, we want to be able to log in here. So we need to have some place where we can call the login action, or rather, we need to display the sheet where the user can sign in, right? So here for this plus button, we have this presenting at artifact.toggle, and we're just going to replicate this. So let me just make a copy of that. So, and then it's going to be presenting authentication dialog. I think that would be a good authentication dialog. All right, and it's currently not displayed. And then we can put the action here. Toggle, and make this look a little bit nicer, like this. Okay. Oh, what? Okay, yeah, I know why. Because of this. And then we also need the label. So this should be fine. Cool. So the next thing is we need a sheet, and this is going to be shown when we toggle this, and instead of displaying the add artifact dialog, we're going to display the authentication screen. And this needs to be the projected value. Let's see. Here we go. All right. So I'm pretty sure if we did that now, we should be able to sign in. So let's try this again. Test at test.com. Tests 1, 2, 3, 4. Log in. You're logged in at test@test.com. And if we, let's say we have the wrong password, let's clear the password, and then it says the password is invalid or the user doesn't have a password. Okay, so let's put a wrong password. And then it also gives us an error message saying, well, this essentially were the wrong credentials. And we'll probably have to put some error dialog or error label in place. But what I want to do now is kind of try to show a different icon up here if the user is signed in. And to achieve that, I think what we want to do is we'll want to have a reference to the authentication service in this artifact list screen so that we can show a different icon for the button. And to be honest, this also feels very leaky. So why should the list dialog, why should the list view know about the authentication state just because there is a button that has a different state, right? So ultimately, only the button should know that. So we're slowly going to work there. So let's first get a reference to the service here. So we're going to try to implement everything as homogeneous as possible. So I'm going to do it like this here, right? So we want to make a copy of that. And then we have the authentication service like this. What? Oh yeah. Okay, so what's the problem here? So if we want to inject stuff into the environment and like this, it needs to be observable. And it's clearly telling us here. So if we look at the summarizer service, it's marked as @observable. So we need to do that with the authentication service as well. @observable. So this hopefully should be fine. Yeah, okay, so this is fine. And then I need some sort of authentication state on this service here. So maybe we can start simple and let's do this. Var is logged in. So it's now suggesting to pull out the information from the auth object here, or from the auth service. So I think, and that's something that I see people do a lot of times, and it looks right, but it's not going to work. It's not going to work well, at least, because this current user here, that is also just a property on the auth object here, and there is no publisher. So whenever that's going to be updated, we're not going to receive a notification that this has been updated, right? So this is, when the user logs in, we won't get a notification about it. When they log out, we won't get a notification about it. So this is not a good idea here. Instead, we should probably implement something else, and Firebase has a concept called the authentication state listener. So let's see if we can find this in the documentation. Passing state in email actions. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Okay, let's see if the chat can help us. I want to monitor the authentication state of a user. How can I do this in Swift? I mean, I could search around in the documentation and find it, because I know that there is an authentication state listener. Okay, let's see. Yeah, import Firebase, observe the auth state listener. So can we make this wider? Let's try this. Okay. So add state did change listener. That is what we need. So let's see, is there code? No. So it gave us the description of what we do as code. Oh no, here we go. Yeah, okay, so it seems like the rendering got out of touch. Okay, anyways, so what we need is in the initializer, oh, we do have an initializer. Auth dot add state did change listener. So this is going to be called whenever the sign-in state of the user changes. So if they sign in or if they sign out. If they sign in, we get a user object. If they sign out, we get nil in this parameter here. And what we want to do is we want to keep track of that user. So I'm just going to add another property, and this is a good start here, but we're not using @published, so let me just use this and then edit this a little bit like that. Okay, so, and we're going to assign this self.user equals user. Result of call is unused. Yeah, so I think we can just drop this for now. And then instead of doing this, we'll do user is not nil. So if the user is not nil, we're logged in. So when we initialize the service, we will register the add state did change listener, and that will continue listening to the authentication state. And whenever the user signs in, it will assign the user to the user object. And whenever we call is logged in, we will get the current state. So we should probably also double check what's happening with the macro here. Okay, so we're tracking the observation state of the user. That's good. And then, yeah, this looks good. Oh, no, nope. I don't want to do that. No snippet. All right, so in my list screen here, I can now go down to my button, to this one here, and then we can see if this works. So AuthenticationService dot is logged in, and if it's logged in, we want to use a circle.fill. And if it's not logged in, we want to just use the regular circle. All right, so what's... all right, so it crashed. Oh, no. Let's see. Okay, so why does this crash? Good question. We'll find out. So let's run this and then we'll see why it crashes. So something is clearly wrong. Oh, I have an idea. If you have an idea as well, type it into the chat. So let's grab our simulator. And okay, so there are a bunch of problems here, or maybe just one. So there is no authentication service, and that probably was the problem. So yeah, so here in the artifact list screen, we expect to have an authentication service, but we're never injecting this. And that is what we need to do. So bar authentication service is authentication service.shared, and then we can inject it into the environment as authentication service. So let's see if this already fixes the problem over here. If not, we'll just run it again and get another error message that helps us understand what's going on. Oh, and I also think that we are getting a hard reference to the authentication service in the dialog. So that is also something that we might need to change. All right, compile. There's a problem. Failed to launch because of a timeout. Let's try it again. If you haven't answered the question in the poll, please do so. Okay, it's not working. It's too slow. Let's... okay, no idea what this means. It's unclear. So let's run it. Or I couldn't see what the problem is. But now we should get a better... Yeah, so here we go. So this is a better error message here. So the error message here is the default Firebase app instance must be configured before the default auth instance can be initialized. One way to ensure this is to call Firebase app.configure in the app delegates application did finish launching with options callback. So what is the problem here? So we're initializing the authentication service, but we do that before Firebase is initialized. So that is the problem here, right? So all of these dependencies here are initialized before the initializer runs, and that is not the right thing to do in this case. So what we're gonna do is I'm going to swap this out and just make this an optional, and then, you know, very much the same as we did up here, we will assign it down here. So authentication service is authentication service dot shared. So now this should work. Build successful. Here we go. This works. Okay, so let's see if this works. I'm going to sign in at test@test.com using tests 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. It did work. So the dialog didn't disappear because we're lacking a dismiss action, but the icon changed, right? So before it was not filled, and after I signed in, it was filled. So it's updating the state correctly. And let's just go in and fix this dismiss action here. So in the screen, I'm going to get add environment. And here we go, the presentation manager. For those of you who've been with me for the past couple of streams, you will know that the presentation manager makes an appearance in probably all of them. Okay, so we get the dismiss action, and then we will call dismiss here. Ooh, interesting. What? Oh, because we are in a task. All right, let's see. So you might be surprised, or maybe not. So when we last launched the application, this icon was not filled, and that meant that nobody was signed in. But now it is filled, and that means somebody is signed in, but we haven't signed in. And that is because Firebase Auth keeps track of the authentication state for us. And that is because of the authentication state listener here, right? So let's do this again, but I'm going to set a breakpoint, and this should hit. So launch the application again. And this state listener here will be called when either a user signs in or the user signs out, or there is another trigger that triggers the authentication state. And that is the case once the application boots up and we instantiate our Firebase Auth instance, and then Firebase says, well, I'm just going to fetch the authentication state, which is kept in the keychain, and assign this or tell you about it in your authentication state listener. And that's what's happening here. So if we go through the entire call stack, you'll see that we're basically starting here, right? So here is where we get our authentication service. We initialize it, and here is the our singleton instance. The singleton instance needs to call the initializer, and inside the initializer, we say that we want to have an authentication state listener. And that is the thing that makes this connection and makes sure that when you restart the application, the user is still signed in. So that is the proper way to make sure that users can sign in and that you can keep track of the authentication state. Okay, so we're here. I guess we probably need to have a way to log out. I'm just thinking, yeah, we can probably spend 5 more minutes. So I think, it's fine if we run over 5 minutes. We're already 5 minutes late, but let's do 5 more, right? Are you okay with 5 more minutes? Give me an emoji. You can tap on the emojis. Give me a celebration emoji if you agree. Okay, so I need a logout button, and the cool thing is that we should be able in our authentication view, because we have access to the authentication screen, to swap out the button depending on our authentication state. So if we are here, and when I say we swap out the button, I mean we could do a stupid thing, or maybe it's not stupid, but it doesn't really work well in SwiftUI. So if we did it this way, if authentication service is logged in, we want to have a logout button. Let's move this down here, and then log out, and then log out like that. So let's implement this. It should work, but it's not a great way to do it. func logout, and then inside the logout function, what we need to do is auth.auth sign out, and this can throw okay, and then down here, where did we call? No, we are, yeah, this is inside the, service. So inside the service, I'm happy to throw, but inside the view, I don't want to throw. So what I'm going to do here, func logout. I mean, this is another level of indirection, but so this is kind of layout where we have this struct which represents the function, the state and the business logic of our view, and then we have the extension which contains the body that allows us to put everything that we would normally put into a view model into this part of the view here, and have our feature implementation here. So I feel good about this. So it might look like duplicating stuff, but that's actually okay. So, and now AuthenticationService dot log out. And now we can do proper error handling, and we can log out, and if we catch an error, we can do something with it. For example, we can display an error message, but for now we're just going to print an error. Okay, cool. So let's run this and see what happens. Yeah, I think it should work. Okay, so here is our state listener. We are logged in. Okay, log out. And we're logged out. And we can go back in. Test at test.com. Test 1, 2, 3, 4. Log in, and we're logged in. So why do I think this is not such a great way to do it? Well, anything that alters the structure of your view makes it hard for SwiftUI to, you need to make sure that there is view identity, and if you're doing it this way, then you're making it harder for Swift to understand the structure of your view. So a better way to do this might be the following. So let me make a copy so we can see it. And then I'll just do this. I'll use a ternary expression here. If the user is logged in, we will use a different label here. And if they're logged out, we will want to say log in. And then in here, we'll have to do it this way, right? Log out. Okay. So this should make it easier for SwiftUI to understand the view structure. Okay. Oh no. Okay, I think we're back. Okay, so this works, and then logout works as well. All right, cool. So hopefully I didn't lose you while the power went off on my USB hub. That happened a couple of times. I probably need to double check what's going on. Okay, so I didn't get as far as I wanted to because there's always so much stuff to do, and yeah, you're still here. Awesome. There's always so much stuff to go through, and coding while talking and explaining, that's slowing down a lot. So basically only get through a third of what you'd be able to get through when you're just typing and thinking. But that's fine. So I think so what we need to do next time is expand this a little bit more. To be honest, this sign up screen here is pretty bare bones. So we'll probably want to make it more beautiful and work better. And most of those kinds of screens have some little text down here that says, hey, if you're new, you can create a new account, or if you have an account, it says, well, you can sign in using that account. So we will want to switch back and forth between those two modes of the screen. And also, to be honest, the logout button shouldn't be here. So when the user is signed in and we tap on this button here, we shouldn't go into the login screen. We should go into an account screen, and that account screen should have information about the user, and maybe there is even a profile, and then there is a logout button, right? So that is something else that we need to do. And then, of course, we need to use the information that we have about the user now and make sure that when they add a new artifact into the knowledge base, that it is stored using their user ID, because that's currently not happening. Currently, all the data that any user adds to the database will be stored in this giant collection that we have, and everybody can read anything. So that's not what we want. So we need to use a query, and that's hopefully something that we can look at next time. Cool. So hopefully that was helpful and you learned something from this time. And if you didn't, that's cool too. For anybody watching this after the live stream, please feel free to leave a comment under the video. And also, you know the drill. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It sounds cheesy, but it really helps. And with that, thanks for tuning in. Oh, wait, there's one more thing. So let's go to the outro. Yeah, and again, I thought we were going to go through the entire thing. So we're probably not going to be able to talk about Genkit just yet next time, but we'll get there. So maybe the Christmas episode will be about Genkit. So next time we'll meet on Thursday instead of Wednesday, because I have another appointment that I need to attend on Wednesday. But generally, I'll try to run these on Wednesday. So next week, Thursday, December 12th, same time. And the week after, we're going to do another one. And then it's the Christmas period, so probably I won't do another stream in the week of Christmas, but maybe the week after. We'll see. I think there's always enough stuff that we can talk about, so we'll definitely keep going. Yeah. Leave any comments that you have under the video. Thanks for tuning in. It was a pleasure, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.